We told her we saw Michael Jackson and that he just left our house and she needs to come listen to his verse.
You told her Michael Jackson was at the crib.
And the monkey did some ad libs. I'm sorry.
Payne, do you think it was just that, though? Do you think...
No. Welcome back to the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. My name is DJ Payne One. I'm here with Damien Ritter and Erinn Knight. This is the music industry podcast, and we talk it because we live it. What's going down, everyone?
Everything's good on my side. Erinn, how you feeling this morning?
I'm recovering from being super tired, but I'm grateful.
Well, before we get started, just want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Two Loss. Of course it is. I'm our director of marketing, just sitting in our office right now. If you need 3 months free distribution, free music distribution, if you want to give another distributor a try, you can do it for free. Just use the code MEC, go to twoloss.com. Use it for free for 3 months. Let us know in the comments how your experience goes. And yeah, today we're going to jump right into it with our wins. We like to share our wins to let you guys know that we are actually in the music industry. We're not just talking about it. We're not just trying to make a check from a podcast. So Payne, what is your win from the past week?
Well, one, our channel's not even monetized yet. Two, this has been a rough week. I'm not going to lie. So injured.
Well, hold on, you can't just, we didn't even know. This didn't start out positively. You just waved a broken wrist.
Yeah, no, I mean, all I'm going to say is on that, surviving in the music industry is a win. If you made it another week, congratulations. And then number two, I guess my wins would be signing a couple brand deals. So I have 2 now, and they're bigger. You're going to see them. It's not like these are going to be hidden, but you'll see them on my YouTube channel because they're video integration ads.
Is the ink not dry? You don't want to share? You don't want to give them extra exposure on the MEC podcast?
The ink is dry, but the funds are not fully sent. So it's not executed, but the agreements are handled.
Do you want to share how you broke is it a broken wrist?
No, it's not broken. I've never broken anything. I feel like breaking something is more straightforward. This is just some kind of, nerve thing, which I think is worse because I can't do anything.
Yeah. Erinn, hopefully you don't have any broken bones or any issues. What's your win from the past week?
I had a broken sleep regimen, but that's my entire life. So I'd say I heard a phrase yesterday when I was listening to a podcast, and it's very much the season that I'm in, which is why I'm tired. But it was moving at the speed of ideation. I've been getting into design thinking, which is a different way of problem solving, a different way of moving through the world. Instead of thinking from a normal place, you think from a design standpoint, like how can I design the life I want to live, or how can I design this experience for people? I am an experienced designer, but approaching problems from a design thinking standpoint has been about maybe 4 to 6 months. And so I've just been iterating very quickly. When I have an idea, I iterate. And so some friends of mine had been talking about doing a writing camp before South by. I come back from South by and they're like, hey, the camp is next weekend. Will you be in town? And I was like, bet. I was stoked because a lot of times people don't move if I'm not around to kind of like move the idea forward, which gets exhausting. So they were doing it. And my only interest in it was that I wanted to document it. And so this weekend, starting tomorrow, literally we're shooting a writing camp. They're throwing a writing camp. My production company is shooting a documentary around it. And I'm really excited because we're writing for some major artists. And then the guy who's running kind of like the A&R side, he had a call with another really dope label yesterday. And they're like, oh, y'all are doing a camp. These are the people coming. Here are 6 more people that we need you to write for. So we have a ton of prompts. We have a ton of people that we're writing for, new artists and established artists. I'm going to get to tell that story visually. I'm really excited about the documentarian that I'm utilizing for this project. So, I'm just going to put out a super trailer. Hopefully it gets funded and then I'll put out the whole docu. But I'm just in the process of shooting and capturing a ton of content, but specifically documenting the journeys of like a lot of creative people, especially here in Nashville and Austin.
Dope. And on my side, making a lot of progress with this collective that we're putting together with Big Ja and a lot of other content creators I'm super excited about. But I have to talk about a 2 Lost win because we have released an app. The app, obviously people know what an app is, but you'll be able to do everything you can do on the website, essentially. You can release music, check your analytics, send money, request a payout. Everything you can do on the 2 Lost platform, you can now do on an app. We're going to put a link to the app in the description of this video. So make sure you download it, check it out. I actually like it a little bit more than the desktop. It's a real clean, sleek app the way they designed it. I didn't think they were going to be able to put all the functionality that we have on the desktop experience into an app, but they did it and they did it well. So if you download the app, I'd love feedback on that as well. But that is definitely the 2 Lost big win of the week. So let's get into our topics. Erinn, what do we have lined up for today?
So today we're running down a lot of interesting topics. I'm really excited. We're going to kick off with a very funny, interesting crime mob story. Shout out to Atlanta. Dame sent us this over and I literally laughed for like 2 minutes straight and then ran it back hours later and laughed again. So I'm hoping y'all enjoy it. We're going to talk about why rappers are in trouble, I believe. The Steve the Stoner's dance. Hopefully today's a lighthearted day. We're going to talk about what Timberland has to say about AI. This man is a wild man. And then we're going to talk about poppy soda and trends in business as they relate to music.
Well, that's more than we typically cover, Payne. So let's cue us up. Let us put up the first video. Let's get into it. It's a funny video, but I definitely have some things to share from my personal experience it's funny and sad at the same time, kind of.
What is it that possibly Princess did wrong, potentially, to separate this group?
Okay. Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
Me and my brother went to Six Flags, right? We came home. We called Diamond. We told her we saw Michael Jackson at Six Flags and that Michael Jackson wants to get on Look If You Book and that he just left our house and she needs to come listen to his verse. And she ran all the way from her house to ours and she believed us and it hurt her. I'm sorry. We told you Michael Jackson.
Prince, are you being fucking serious right now?
I'm so serious.
How old were y'all when this happened?
16.
At the start of crime mob.
Yes.
You told her Michael Jackson was at the crib.
And the monkey did some ad-libs. I'm sorry.
The monkey did. I didn't even hear that the first time around. I
didn't either.
But the monkey did some ad-libs is wild. And Erinn, I know you found it funny, but what's your kind of response to that video?
I think it's hilarious because I remember when Nuck If You Buck was hitting the streets, like before it even like really blew up on radio. Growing up in Atlanta, I had this like misunderstanding of how big songs were because it could be big in Atlanta and nobody knew about it. And Nuck If You Buck was one of those songs that I remember blowing up in Atlanta. And then like a couple months later, it was everywhere, like everywhere. And so then when they didn't go anywhere else, I always wondered because I felt like Atlanta really did support them and there was an ecosystem around what they were building, the energy they had. I felt like they were all talented. They were super young. And so to hear this story, I laughed and it kind of made me mad, but it's hilarious because this is what kids do. Like I can only imagine Princess being so pissed that she was like, I don't ever want to talk to y'all again. But now, like 2 decades later, like I've seen them perform Nuck If You Buck probably 2 or 3 times live. And the first time I remember seeing it at Red Bull Culture Clash and being like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. I wish that they would have kept going. But it's just like a hilarious story because they were just being kids. They were 16, being goofy. It broke up the future of that group. Nobody even knows it. I thought it was some like money issue or management issue or something serious. And it was just 2 kids being funny about Michael Jackson. So I thought that was hilarious. And then the monkey ad libs. I don't know. It's like sometimes you you think, I think for me, you think that stuff either broke apart because of like some sinister, like, management or whatever issue or some bad business. And this was literally just kids being dumb. And so I thought that was funny and lighthearted. I'm wondering if they talk, because she's like, I'm sorry. Like, I think she's still living in how dumb it was that their relationship broke apart. But I also laugh because that's just like artists, like, to completely sabotage the future of everything because they're mad as hell about something small. Living witness. I've seen shit go up in smoke. I've seen shit that could be life-changing, incredible, only just grow slightly because an artist was so pissed about one thing that they lived in that reality and they fucked up their future because I said something that they didn't love or because they thought this and this and this happened. So it was just very telling to me and very funny because I'm like, that's such an artist move. And I think, you know, that song did well, so they're still doing all right, but it was a really funny story to me.
Payne, do you think it was just that though? Do you think?
No, I think there was a lot going on. I think that may have been one of the grievances within the overall stack of grievances, because normally that's how things are. Because technically they didn't really split up, because 2004 is when Knuck If You Buck was hitting the airwaves, and at that time, yeah, Diamond was 16 and Princess was, I think, 18, and they did release another album after that, and they've released other music following that. But I know things have been contentious since then. I mean, if you're 16, think about being 16 and an 18-year-old messes with you. You're going to probably hold that in if you feel like it wasn't resolved, if you feel like they never apologized. And some people don't like that type of humor. It's so relatable because this is the type of shit that I would have done. And someone would have been mad at me for 10 years because of that, or 20 years, however long it's been. Definitely. But and I would have been stubborn as hell at that time too, and been like, you want me to apologize for what? It was a joke. You know what I mean? And you know, now as an adult, you can even tell in that clip that like Princess is conflicted. Maybe I'm probably analyzing too much. It seems to me that she's conflicted because she knows she messed up, but she doesn't really understand fully why, because she still thinks it's funny. And we're laughing at it because it's so ridiculous. But again, they were kids. So I think some things stacked on. And, you know, I interviewed Doc Jam, who produced Knuck If You Buck, and he told me a lot of stories. And he was just like, yeah, there were always contentions. And I can understand that every group I ever had split up, and there were always contentions. And it wasn't ever just one thing. It was like a bunch of little things. And then finally someone did one thing, and then they could walk away and say, oh, well, the reason that the group broke up was because I did this. And people are like, oh, wow, you split up over that little thing. It's like, yeah, you forgot the other 20 things that had just added up and had gotten to a point where the pot boiled over.
Yeah. I mean, we keep saying that they were just kids, but to be honest, like Erinn had mentioned, like this stuff happens just in a group dynamic. 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, probably 40, 50-year-olds. It's really tough to make the group stuff work in the music industry. There are so many things. So like the communication just has to be super on point. I mean, it really just reminds me of how Funk Volume broke up. Like, if you look at the end, it was really just because I told Hobson he didn't work that hard. And I have the audio to prove this. I'll never release it, but I have the audio. I have the audio to prove this. Now, were there some things like building up to that? I'm sure there were, but he never expressed it. And that's why the communication is so important. Like, you know, a lot of times you think you can do stuff by yourself. So when things as a group get tough, you're always thinking, man, like, I don't need these folks. Like, I could do this by myself. I got my own mic. I got my speakers. I could do this podcast by myself. And you totally convince yourself that that's the best option. So the next time you get upset, it's like, all right, fuck this. And you just light a match to the group, you know, thinking you can go off and do things on your own. And I think just the way the music industry is, just what's like pumped into us every day online, like, oh, you do it yourself. You know, you have the tools. Like, people are more encouraged to just take that option as opposed to figuring out how to make the group dynamic work and seeing like the long-term vision of what's possible as a group, because it's normally going to produce better results if you can make it work and can stick together. So it's a funny story, but it's sad, and it made me think about my own experience. So if you're in a group right now, if you're working with people, make sure that you're checking in. As soon as you get something that bothers you, like bring it up to the group. Talk about it. Don't let it, Erinn, I'm going to let you respond. Don't let it fester though. Don't let it fester, because, something else is going to happen. Then it's going to seem like an overreaction to everybody else, but you're not just reacting to that one thing. You're reacting to everything you let build up. But Erinn, I saw that reaction, so I want to get your response to that.
I do agree with meeting things head on. I'm a highly confrontational person because I think that peace and clarity is on the other side of confrontation. And I don't mean like, I'm not combative where I'm just like, let's fight. I'm like, and Dame is like this, which is why I really respect him. He's just like, let's talk about it. We got an issue. Let's talk about it. Like, it's not, if there's an issue, that's just part of life. Like, people are different. We disagree. We won't like the same things. I do feel like my experience with artists, which is another reason I had to get out of management, was I found myself having issues with people every 5 to 6 months, but I knew that it could rock the boat. So I found myself coddling people because my thought process was, let me just distance myself further. Let me just set better boundaries around what I'm willing to do for these artists, because I feel like a lot of times the grievances that I had, they would have never understood because they were selfish individuals. So it just was like hard for me to even want to articulate some of the things because I knew it was going to be this whole thing. Like, I too have a recording of how everything blew up with one of the groups that I managed because of something that I said. I would never release it, but like I owned and even apologized for what I said because I know it wasn't the nicest thing to say, but it was actually very truthful. And I didn't say it mean-spirited, but that was hard for me to even wrap my head around at that time because I'm like, I wasn't being mean. I was very much telling a fact, and they got offended by it. So like after talking it through with several people, it was just kind of like, that just wasn't the best time to say it. And maybe it is the truth, but like maybe there should have been a workaround. I didn't know what the workaround was because my thing is we're sitting here functioning on different truths. Like y'all think that this world exists because you created it. And I'm like, I create this world every day with multiple artists. You just happen to be the byproduct of one of the worlds that I've created. I want you to be here. I'm grateful for your contribution to this world, but I'm a world builder. You are building yourself, and that's all you have proof of is just building yourself. And so in very short terms, I basically said like, I don't need y'all. Like, I'm grateful that y'all are here, but what's being built could be built with anybody, right? Like a willing vessel and we're good to go. That ended up blowing everything up because I think now looking in hindsight, they had a lot of jealousy about me and my capabilities, but also a lot of fear about the possibility of me not being focused on growing their career. I didn't know that that was one of their fears because I'm present when I'm present. I had a ton of artists at the time. I had a huge team that I was managing. So I'm saying, like, I don't think it always helps because every time I had a grievance about the way that they were treating people, not even just me, it was always this whole, well, this and this and this, and they decided to be here and they signed up for this. It never reached a resolve. So I don't know if it ever is helpful. I think you have to be very intentional about working with and growing with people who speak the same language as you, and then developing a linguistic pattern that allows all of y'all to thrive. Because I look at my business partners and me, we deal with probably more issues way more rapidly because we're building a way bigger company and we're touching way more people. But we rarely have issues because it's like when something is coming up, as it's coming up, we're talking through it. So there's not these big blow ups. There's not these moments where I'm pausing like, should I say this? I wonder how they're going to take this. I wonder if they're going to perceive me as a mean person. So I don't know. I think a lot of times it's a lot more about being aligned with people. And I know you have to grow into that, but I think I always knew I was misaligned with the majority of the artists I was working with. And I wasn't willing to see that because I really wanted to build something around them.
Well, I mean, you kind of just reiterated what I said in terms of like maintaining that communication. Now, sometimes you can't force it, right? Like sometimes the best option is to go your separate way, and that's okay. But I just think it's interesting, you know, as we promote these phrases like self-made or do-it-yourself that are encouraging people to go at it alone. When right now, in order to cut through the clutter, if you can find a team, it would be so much easier to do that at this moment where you're competing with so many other things for attention. Like, again, that's exactly what we're doing in this moment with this rebrand of The Whole Crew Is Stupid. Like Ja doesn't want to be like posting every day, but we can work as a collective to post a sketch every single day. And that's what we're working towards. And we think we're going to reap the benefits of that if we can move together and keep everybody on the same page. Payne, you have any last thoughts on this before we jump into your topic?
No, but there's a reason I'm not in any groups right now.
The MEC still kicking.
Well, yeah, this is a group. This is a group. It's just not the kind of, I don't know. We're not artists, and I don't know. I don't want to get into it because then we start getting into creatives versus executives and this and that. But let me jump into my
the one in DJ Payne one is just means him and him only. I am the one.
I mean, that is kind of what that means, but that's not why. That's not the sentiment that I wanted to express. You know, because at a certain point, I'm looking at all these groups that crash and burn. When I did all this therapy, because I looked at all the relationships that I was in that crash and burn, I was like, I'm the common denominator. I'm not saying I'm the sole problem in all of them, but I was certainly a problem in all of them. And so I didn't necessarily extend that to the groups because in certain group dynamics, so like one group that blew up in my face was an artist that was addicted to drugs and started robbing everyone in the city. That kind of wasn't my fault. I don't think I was the problem in that because I wasn't on drugs and I wasn't robbing everyone in the city. Another group blew up because the main rapper was skimming money from everyone, not paying me, and then ended up fucking the tour manager while she was married. So that wasn't something that I could blame myself for. So I've had some very dramatic, but also cut and dry cases where the fault sat squarely, or at least the majority of the fault sat squarely on one person's back and it wasn't mine. I would never say that I don't have room to improve as a person, certainly in personal relationships and certainly just on a day-to-day as a musician, as a professional, etc. But I also don't think that I blew up these groups. That's just me. I think I've contributed positively and negatively to group dynamics, whatever those may be. But speaking of someone who's blowing things up positively and negatively, this is my topic. I don't know if did you read this?
No, I haven't. This is me reading it for the first time, but let's get into it.
Okay, so Azealia Banks, right? Whose music I love. I've always liked her music, and I feel like if I can say it this way, maybe people will understand. I feel like Azealia Banks argues a lot. She's contentious, but she's usually on the right side in the wrong way, but for the right reasons, if that makes any sense. So, she'll go at J.K. Rowling for being a bigot, and then she'll turn around and say something equally bigoted, but against someone that maybe deserves it, but just not in that way. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. But anyway, this is one of those situations where I think, damn, like I can't even find anything redeeming in what you say. But it also shows this problem that I talk about a lot in the producer community. A lot of producers talk about when it comes to entitlement and relegating producers to a position of not being valued songwriters, which is strange. So her tweet said, why should shout out to Boy 50. He's always posting stuff. So I guess, Azealia Banks is always on Twitter, and she catches a lot of conversations. She said, why should we pay for beats if producers expect royalties, pub, and master share? You all want us to pay the license for a certain number of years, after which you'll do whatever you want with it. So it sounds like she's talking about beat leasing now. So now she's getting more in the beat leasing game. No, it's not like producers have to spend money on marketing, touring, mixing, master, promo. Of course, yeah, producers, we don't spend money on marketing, promo, or any kind of mix. Sure. Producers don't have to perform, and many of you are very limited in skill. If you want to be paid for a beat, you should sell it entirely and expect no publishing, no royalty, and no master share. Artists put a lot of effort into making beats come to life, and many of you should be grateful. Oh, so she's really going in on producers and this whole us versus them. You're not as, I don't know. The more I read it, the nastier it becomes, because she's really tearing producers down. She's really trying to make us feel entirely insignificant. And this is often what happens, unfortunately, what artists will do. And I don't even know if Azealia Banks believes what she's typing. This could just be some rage-fueled moment of confusion. Who knows, right? I don't know her. And I don't know her to say nasty shit like this about the music business. She's usually on the side of creatives, usually. But this was this was an elevated dumpster fire of shaming producers for asking for what everybody else in the music business gets. And then this additional layer, which happens all the time, where like, I'll have a conversation with someone and I'm like, well, why do you want money for the beat? Oh, you want a writer's share for the beat? You're not a writer. Oh, you want royalties? Why? You're not even that good. It's like when usually a man sees a woman and is like, let me get your number. And she's like, no, thank you. Bitch, you ugly anyway. Fuck you. I'd never fuck you. Nobody in this bitch. You're going to die alone. It's that type of thing. It's that type of energy. And I'm like, that's nasty no matter the context.
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much of a response to this. You know, I do think that I just think it's a ridiculous post. I mean, Azalea's always doing things, saying things that get her in the headlines or get attention. It's usually negative. I just, again, don't like to create the divide between artists and producers. Like, we should be talking about things that make it easier to work together, as opposed to put everybody on guard. To me, this just increases the skepticism and the negativity around a relationship that you guys need. Like, you know, artists obviously need beats to make music. Producers need artists to put lyrics on the beats. Like, we have to work together, and just saying stuff like this, to me, just increases the divide and pits one group against the other. And I just don't like it.
Oh, it does.
I think it's like artists, I don't want to be an artist hater, but I'm high-key an artist hater for the most part. Like, I love artists, but I never want to work with them, because it's like all artists ever see is themselves. So they're like, well, I got to pay the manager when I have to do this, 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 and this. And all y'all had to do is go do this. Well, I got to pay the producer. I actually think more people need to be broken off in the song process. Like, I think it's egregious that songwriters can come in, write the song, and really like create a flow for it, maybe even vocally produce a singer or a rapper, and all they're getting is pub. Like, I think writers should be getting parts of the master, personally, because it's like, if you're not getting a fee coming in and you have to wait till this joint recoups. People talk about major label artists and major label writers. Like, again, I'm doing a writing camp starting tomorrow. I have been talking to the guys about, like, how do we get our writers paid? Obviously, with this camp, I can't change the dynamics of the music industry, but that's why I'm trying to tell this story, because I'm like, you have these super talented people. So, like, for somebody to come in and say the beat maker can't get paid up front for all the work, effort, and energy that they had to come in with, right? Like you had to have the technology and the know-how and the skill set to create this beat, to manipulate these sounds, to create something that you really enjoyed. And then a lot of times go back and change a few things, disrupt the flow of things so that you sound better on the track. And then you get to sit on it as long as you want. Maybe never, ever release it. That's another reason that producers, I think it's like, yeah, get your money up front, because this shit may never come out. Or it could be 3, 4, 5 years. Or it may take 8 years to fucking recoup, if it does recoup. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't think it's like, this shit is not just for vibes. People are trying to pay their bills and also enjoy the craft that they're putting their time, effort, and energy into. So I don't know, shout out to sis, but she's always had takes to me that are just like, I don't know where her mind is, but I respect it because she's a different type of thinker. She's just not somebody that I'm ever really interested in reading what they have to say, because it's like I could be at the top of a tweet like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I get down to the bottom and I'm like, my God, I don't want to be affiliated with this at all. So I don't know. I don't like this take at all, but like, go off, I guess. I've never had anybody give a real reason that producers shouldn't get paid, aside from the fact that they're like, you don't have to pay for marketing, mixing, mastering, and you don't have to go on tour. But every time somebody says that, my next thought is you benefit from all of those things. And it actually generates way more money for you. It generates attention for you. You enjoy performing for the most part. A lot of artists really enjoy performing. They almost try to make it seem like the things that they want to do are now a burden, and the producer should see how much work that burden is. And it's like, that's such a weak cop-out of an excuse.
It is kind of a cop-out, but on the flip side, it is true, but that's what you sign up for. Like, the onus is on the artist or the label to really get those songs out there. I think one thing producers should think about, though, is their pricing strategy, because, what you guys have is different, right? Like, if I have a liquor store and I have milk in the store, like, everybody that comes through that door sees the price, gets that price. If they want to buy the milk, they get it and walk out the door. Like, producers, you guys, if you have a beat store, it's kind of the same thing. But like, a lot of times you guys are negotiating with the same beat, different prices depending on who's talking to you. So I think you just have to just be really, figure out what your pricing strategy is, how you approach artists, handle that conversation with artists at different levels. And just hopefully it's a smooth process, because it is different. Payne, I'm sure. I've worked with you before where I haven't had to pay for the beats. I've just given you, a percentage of the masters. You get 50% of the publishing. I'm sure part of that's also just the relationship we have. But again, it's just different with every artist, depending on where they're at in their career. And that's, it's just a lot different than selling other goods, if you had a store.
Well, and Azealia Banks is damn near 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. I can't imagine there aren't producers that she could quote unquote lock in with. But, to pick up on what Erin's saying, it is ridiculous, because when you go to a 9 to 5, right, and you're the owner of the business is saying, man, I got to do payroll. I got to pay for janitorial services, waste management. I got to do this. I got to handle people's 401ks. I got to do this. And now you want a salary? Come on, man. And now you want health insurance? Come on. And I'm like, you directly benefit from all that. You keeping me healthy benefits you, because I get to show up to work every day and perform at a high level that makes you a lot more money than I will ever see from my involvement in this company. So it's bullshit when someone like Azealia Banks says, oh, well, I got to go on tour. You don't have to tour, but you get paid to go on tour. You connect with more people. You get home from tour and you have more money in your pockets than the producers do, because the producers don't get money off your tour. And you have more of a activated fan base, more fans if you're doing touring, right? And life is better for you because you did that. So why are you turning a benefit into a burden, as Erinn was saying? So legally, I'm just going to end on this. Legally, a producer is always a songwriter. Don't let these people tell you different. These conversations didn't happen 100 years ago when a lyrics author, aka the songwriter performer, was claiming the person who composed the big band parts to their big song isn't a composer and isn't a co-writer and isn't, like this didn't happen then. So why is this happening now? And it's funny because the same people who, and I think Azealia Banks is a vanguard of culture, of hip hop culture, of music, of black culture, etc. But she's using these anti-cultural statements and sentiments to push forward her assertion. Because again, this didn't happen before kids with FL Studio started making music in an industry that should have never, that never wanted them in to begin with. And so now you're using similar language to degrade them. Kind of weird. But having said that, it's also hypocritical because Azealia Banks has been involved in this ongoing legal battle to get royalties from her former label. Just as a quick summary, in 2022, Banks sued Quantinet, I can't say his name, Quantinets, and then was countersued. She claimed that her former label only paid her a minuscule sum of $15,000, while the label reported album revenues of over $1 million, about $1.5 million. The owner is claiming that these are blatantly false royalty claims. And so also in 2020, and I remember this happening, Banks urged fans to stop streaming her album Broke with Expensive Taste to promote or to protest the alleged royalty issue. So it's cool when she does it. It's a problem when they do it. Okay. Consider the source and consider the full context, people.
All right, let's jump into the next topic. We've covered that a million times before. Yes, producers should be compensated. Stop fighting each other. Basically, it's the message.
All right, let's go to Steve the Stoner.
Oh yeah, this will be quick. We probably want to stop it so we don't get our monetization, but people have probably seen that dance. This could be super quick. Like Steve the Stoner, I've seen this video because I've watched a few. Obviously, the algorithm starts feeding you more. Never the same outfit, but I just want to get a guess from you guys. Like, how many damn times do you think this cat has done this dance for it to be as popular as it is? Because I don't think people realize how many times they probably have to do something in order to give it a better chance to stick. Like, I mean, and again, he must have hella clothes because I've never seen him in like the same thing doing this dance either. So the wardrobe is crazy. How many times do you guys think this cat had to do this dance for it to start going viral like this?
I mean, probably 100 at least. I guess I don't know. I don't know because the way virality works nowadays, he could have just done it once in front of a large enough crowd with enough people filming or like the right platform. But how viral is this dance?
Go ahead, Erinn. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say when Dame brought it up, I chuckled because I had only seen it a couple times in like different homegirl stories. So I was like, oh, is this big? Because I remember the first time I saw it, shout out to Sky Jetta. She's a DJ from Detroit. And if I'm not mistaken, he's from like Detroit or Chicago. But she lives between Detroit and Chicago. But she's like a global DJ and she does like ghetto tech or whatever. And even like the beat of the song is a little bit like rhythmically unique. And so I thought it was a Detroit thing at first. So I thought it was funny. I was like, this dude is interesting. I thought it was maybe her uncle or something. And then I saw another video later and I was like, oh, okay, this is a thing. Haven't seen it in maybe a couple months. And then Dame was like, I want to know how many times this dude has done this dance. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. So I went and looked, same like Dame. I'm like, damn, this dude does it. It feels like if he goes out in a day and goes to eat and then goes to the grocery store and then is in a shopping center, he's filming it every time. So I don't know, but he's doing it a lot. And then there's a lot of people mimicking him. There's a lot of people, I don't know. I think he had to do it several times because the first couple videos I saw, he was in his house in a robe. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was just out with people. So I too wonder, it's like, what is the break even point for something to blow? Like, how many times do you have to do it within a small period of time? I think about like Dear Silas, who did the I Ain't Stressing Today, that like shoulder shimmy thing. I think about Shiggy, like when he was jumping out the car doing the Shiggy. Like, I think about a lot of different like trends that have not just taken off, but to where you still remember the person. It's not a lot of those. There was that like giant dude who did food reviews. He would like, I think he called himself the gorilla, which was really weird to me, but he was like really swole and he would do the weird dances. But it's like those stuck because they were doing them so frequently, almost to an annoying amount of times, that you're just like, yeah, I remember this thing.
I think we can move on. This was designed to be a very short topic, but I think the only thing that I wanted to pull out of this is if you want something to stick, oftentimes you're going to have to do it a lot. You know, you're probably tired of doing it yourself. And in your mind, you probably think, oh, people have seen me do this before. But like, you know, if it's something that you want to be known for, or a trend that you're trying to start, like you have to continue to post it. I know that there are some artists that I've talked to on the Independent Living podcast just to get a song moving. Like they made so many different variations of like promoting the song. You know, you guys think that people have heard the song and you're tired of promoting a particular song. But if it's a quality song and it's getting traction, you have to think of more and more ways to promote it. And it might seem annoying and you might get tired, but you should show up and try to keep giving the same amount of energy to every post, because it's going to be new to a lot of people and it gives you a higher chance of it like really picking up and catching some steam. So that's really all. Wait,
hold on though. Before we move on, he's from out here. He's from Wisconsin. He's from Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Steven Stoner, man.
I swear I knew that. I swear I knew that. There's a lot. Milwaukee's got a lot going on.
I just want to make a note to this because it's a topic that I had a couple weeks ago that we never brought forward. We don't have to jump on it, but it's like Playboi Carti has a song that came out that's blowing up all over TikTok. It's starting to like filter into Instagram. Everybody is saying this phrase that he has in the song, and he says it. What is it like? Yeah, whatever the phrase is, he says it. I believe. Let me look real quick. What it is. It's like an insane amount of times. Yeah. And if anybody knows, 154 times. See ya. Like, so in, Playboi Carti already does like 2-minute songs. So I think the song is like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And he says this phrase 170 times. Like he starts it as an ad lib. He says it in the hook. There's a hella ad libs. So everybody's saying see ya or however you say it. And then they're saying variations of it now. So I just want to talk about like, it's the consistency thing. The reason that pop songs, great songs with hooks blow up is not even because they're good. It's because they're predictable and you get used to the cadence and you desire to hear. Even like G3's song, like Tweaker, like everybody's like talking about that song because the hook is catchy and you hear everybody talking about the same phrases over and over again. So I think that a lot of times people are like worried about being annoying or worried about being cringe. There was a video that kept on stage. Damien had sent it to me. I had sent it to several friends, even like that same day, where he's like, just be cringe. Just do the thing. Because if you don't do it, you're cringe or you're lazy or you never see the results from it. If you do it, there's going to be people who are annoyed, but you'll also be able to find your target audience. You know, I can even say for myself, there are a lot of things that I could be doing more repetitiously, but I get annoyed with it. And I'm like, people don't know me yet. There's only a small group of people who know me and know that I do this thing. That's why you see YouTubers, they start their videos and end their videos the same. That's why you see Keith Lee, I got it, let's try it, and rate it 1 through 10. It's like you have this cadence or flow that people get used to. You see preachers, they'll have a cadence or a flow. You'll see beat makers, like Pharrell has the doom, 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 doom. Like he has the 4 beats. Timberland has a lot of beat signatures are more rhythmic than they are just the sound. Or it's like Metro, like you hear Metro Boomin, all of these things are because the human brain likes consistency. And if you can get into the psychology of being consistent and people expecting something from you, they're a lot more prone to trust your brand and desire to be around it. Even if they don't super love it, they're like, I rock with it. Like, this is what this person does. The reason that Kids Bops take off, the reason the Backyardigans song was such a hit, or like, we're going on a trip in a big old rocket ship, or Little Einsteins, is because it's like just a simple flow that people can get used to. So like, don't knock the simplicity. Don't knock the consistency. Some of y'all never saw anything take off because you didn't do it long enough. Or it was probably super corny and you may need to change, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to be consistent with whatever you changed into.
What do you guys think about, because I've seen quite a few people, post things and say, post my song every day until it blows up. So like they'll post every day. I've seen a lot of people do something similar to that. Have you seen
anyone successfully do it though?
Kennedy Ryan did it.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was her campaign, like 22, 23, I think, with her like R&B song. She was like post, and then Lee, I don't know if y'all know Lee Vasi. She's like a R&B singer, like a Christian R&B singer. She started that. I think like day 4 or 5, she got like 10,000 views, and now a year later, she signed to Capitol.
Yeah, I think it just depends on like if you have like creative ways to present that daily. I mean, if you're making the same post every day, obviously that's probably not going to work. But I've seen, people get traction on stuff. Like every once in a while, I'll click through and see how many times they've actually posted it. And I've seen, better engagement on the later posts. It just depends on what it is. The technique itself is not tried and true for anything. But if it's a dope song and you have interesting ways to continue to post about it, I think, eventually it could pick up.
I see that format a lot though in social media. There are entire social media pages. There's one that's like posting the same photo of Anthony Fantano watching a Death Grips concert every single day, and it gets traction. I mean, it's growing, if not just consistent.
It's like the little boy who clapped that we watched. He was like clapping every day for every new fan that I get. He was trying to get to 1 million, and I feel like he got to like, I don't know, like 400,000 or 500,000, and then just like dipped off the internet for like 6 weeks and came back to like half the followers and started clapping again. And I think he's up to like 500,000 again. But he would literally just sit in his parents' car and clap, and then he'd take a break because he's like, I got to drink water, and he would speed up the claps. But I think like there's several versions of that trend now. I just found a new jazz composer on TikTok like 2 days ago, and he just finds like different, like Harlem Renaissance era, like art. And then he puts the lyrics over, or he puts words over it. If this is reaching you, you have very rare taste. So he's appealing to your ego. And he's like, you're a part of a very small group who's ever heard this song from me. So it's playing, it's just picture, and you flip through like 3 or 4 pictures and you're hearing one of his compositions play. I think it's really cool because if you look on his page, he just does the same song 3 times. So every new line of like photos is a new song. And so I followed because I was like, oh, I like really love his jazz. I really like that he was using Harlem Renaissance. It's a new composer, but he's using Harlem Renaissance era photos. And so it felt like an exploration. I think he had maybe like 30 or 40,000 followers. He started this, it looked like at the top of this year, and he posts like every 2 or 3 days. So it's not even like a crazy amount of time, but he's just going back through his catalog and posting. So I think it's cool. I think you can figure out which way you want to do it. Like if you say it's cringe to do this dance that Mr. Stoner is doing, like maybe you're finding something that fits your style a little bit more.
I just think, just going back to the clapping, a lot of people are doing stuff just to get attention. Like, there's no, like, it would have been cool if, like, and it doesn't sound like the clapping kid was an artist, but like if you had a clapping song, like it maybe had a clapping rhythm or just a lot of claps in it, like you did that promo, and then at 10,000, once you get to 10,000 fans, you did 10,000 claps, like then you drop the song. Like, there's just too many, and this just goes to content creators in general, because this is the feedback I give them. It's like people are chasing attention as opposed to like having a long-term goal and being intentional about what you post. Because like with Ja, for example, we know that our end goal is television and film. So yeah, we want as much attention as possible, but we want attention on the right journey. We want to tell the story that he ultimately wants to shoot feature films and have shows. Like, so our content needs to reflect that. If we were just over here clapping and people were getting excited about us getting to 10,000 because now we have to do 10,000 claps, that ain't got shit to do with the movie that we really want to release, unless it was about clapping. So, be more intentional, not just about likes, but like what your end goal is.
I think that's a super important note, Dave, because I think a lot of times people, that's why they are like, well, I don't want to do this social media thing, because they don't know the difference between traffic and conversion. Even the ads, you'll see somebody has a video that goes crazy, but they still have 8 monthly listeners. And it's like, because you don't know the actual business behind conversion and how to convert. And when people ask me all the time, they're like, yeah, I tried ads, but they don't work. It's like, no, you don't understand them. We, like, even with my companies, we run traffic ads to get people to our page to see what we're doing. But because we have diversified verticals with our company, we start to look at, okay, they're clicking on this. Okay, now let's run a conversion ad to this specific ticket that we're selling, or to go sign up for our newsletter, or to subscribe to our calendar, And so I think a note to artists is, yes, there's so many different ways that you can get attention online and be consistent, but also, like Dame says, have a story and have an emphasis on something. Like, I don't know what is his name? Young Stoner. What is it?
Steve the Stoner.
Steve the Stoner. I don't know what he's sending people to. Is that song that's in the background his song?
I was actually just about to say that.
He's a rapper.
He's kind of an example of this.
Oh, like, he's a rapper?
Yeah, he's kind of, and I don't even think that's his song, because I looked for it on Spotify, because I expected to see a song at the top of his list with like at least 1 million plays, but he's only got 28,000 monthly listeners, and I don't think that song is his. So he's kind of even though he did get something kind of trending and popping, like he's not going to really reap the benefits of that, because it doesn't look like it's driving anything to him, unless he wants to get.
He's getting some club nights. I have seen that, where people probably paying him a couple racks to pull up to the club, But I agree, damn. Yeah. That's exactly it. If you're not converting and you don't have a plan, people are missing their moment. Amber Grimes was just talking about that on the One More Time podcast. Like, people don't even have their song pinned in their bio when something blows up. They don't have anything. They don't have a follow-up single. So it's like he's probably just taking this moment and living it up because everybody's recognizing him, which is, again, a lot of people just want attention. I wish more artists and more creators would be a lot more honest. Y'all just want attention. Y'all don't really care if your music takes off. You don't really care. You want people to clap for you, and you want some notoriety. You want to be recognized when you go to the mall, and you want a couple of free drinks. And I think that's my hot take right now, that a lot of people don't really care.
I don't even know, like, the dance is hilarious. I don't know how, and I don't even know what you do after that. Do you just go right back into it? Like, once he does the little smoke thing and he does a little, and then he does his little, it's like, it's like. Well,
he was on Kai's show, and he's got some of his videos are damn near.
See, he got on Kai, okay.
Yeah.
But what do you, I guess that's just the TikTok dances in general. It's like, what do you do? Like, because the dance only lasts like 15 seconds. Do you go right back into doing it again and do So you just go right back into it. I don't know. I don't know how you transition that into something else. But I'm not a.
It's like, all right, guys, it's been real. I'll catch y'all later. Like, I agree. It's a goofy. It's like not even respectfully a dance. It's goofy as hell. The timing is a little bit off. It's the most unk shit ever. Like if your uncle is trying to learn a TikTok dance and he's getting it wrong, and we're just like, oh, that's Unk's little dance. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looked like.
All right, we got a little bit of time, Erinn. I know we didn't really jump into your topic, but maybe we can knock it out quickly.
This is the Timberland topic?
No, I think she said something about Poppy.
We can hit on that. I want to talk about Poppy, though. Okay, so I want to start diving into business trends that are happening in general and how people can co-opt them into the music world or just learn from them. That's how I really came up. I started my first business when I was 12. It was basically a really smart bake sale, bigger than a bake sale. And I took all that information and have aggregated that into the music industry. I studied finance. I studied healthcare, all that. And so this is really interesting to me because I met the founder of Poppy when he was growing the company in 2021 or 2019. I can't remember exactly the year. It was either the year before or year after the pandemic. So the CCNYC posted this and says, last week it was announced that Poppy will be acquired by PepsiCo for nearly $2 billion. A business move that had the people going. As creators and entrepreneurs, we should ask, would you have folded and sold it? And so basically the story is that they went on, the Poppy founders went on Shark Tank. They asked for $400,000, I think in exchange for 10 or 15%. The shark said, hey, we'll give you $400,000 for 25%. So when it sold, if I'm not mistaken, Payne, could you flip to the last slide or second to last slide? I think the shark got left with like 14. Okay, so they sold for $2 billion. So the shark who gave them $400K walked away with $487 million. And the founders of Poppy walked away with, after a lot of different stuff, I think it was like $1.4 billion, right? So I want to talk about how you could, like, how to think about your business from different ways. But one of the things that really sticks out to me, the owner of Poppy was living between Atlanta and I don't know, some other place. So a friend of mine had started a picnic company. I think it was right after the pandemic. Basically, she was doing these like luxury picnics outside. That was like a big thing during the pandemic. A lot of women were starting like luxury picnic companies, which I thought was super cool. So we were doing like a photo shoot for like one of her, for it to just kind of show it doesn't have to just be like romantic things. It can be like a group of people. So it was all of us like sitting out at this park. We're doing photos, but we're really just kicking it as friends. And this guy was running by, and I remember seeing him running, and then he came back like 30 minutes later and he's like, hey, I noticed that y'all were doing a picnic. I think this is beautiful. And he was like, people should be trying to figure out how to connect more with their people. And he said, I have a beverage company. I actually think y'all would really like my drinks. So I decided to run back up here and bring y'all a cooler of drinks. So he brought us all these different flavors of Poppy. And he said, this is healthier than soda, but my kids really like it. They still think it's great. He's like, try it out. Let me know what you think. Would love to send you some more. I was like, this is super tight. I throw events. Let me get your information. Got bro's information. Never followed up with bro. I think a year or two later, he's on Shark Tank and now he's a billionaire, right? So I just want to say, for one, I could tell even when he brought over his product to us, how much he believed in it and how present of mind he was to look for his target audience. Cause he's running, like he was just exercising. We're outside chilling and he's like, okay, a group of women buy the most, word of mouth spreads the fastest with women. Let me bring them back. It looks like they're doing a photo shoot. Let me bring them back this really beautifully branded can. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, I don't often think about this. I've thought about this Poppy story maybe one other time, but when I saw this come across my timeline, I'm like, oh shit, this man believed in himself for real. This company has been around, what is it, like 8 years? I think they were started in 2017, 2018, whatever. And they just sold for like over $1 billion, which is wild to me. So how it relates to artists and creatives. One, I think always being ready and present in the moment to see where does my product fit into this. I think with music artists, again, like I was saying last week, it's tough because y'all are just trying to scale yourself. You're just trying to make your music pop. I think there should be some diversification and in your thought process as far as what your offering is outside of just music. If you only have music, then I don't think that you actually have a core product that can do much for the world. Because again, if no more music was created today, we'd all be fine. It's like, what do you have to offer the world that people are like, this is undeniable. This is what we need to give to the world. And then also I think about belief. Like his level of belief is evident in the way that he approached us, the way that he walked into Shark Tank, and then also to be negotiating with PepsiCo. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Would love to see if y'all had any thoughts about it. But I think this is just a fascinating story of belief, but also having a product that really fits the market. He sold to Pepsi when he's like, I'm trying to have an alternative for my kids who like to drink soda, but like I can't be giving them 36 grams of sugar and all this food coloring. Let me make a sparkling water that's a little bit sweetened, that's colored and decorated really coolly, and is something that's different for the market.
Yeah, now it's sold to Pepsi so they can mess it up somehow.
Yeah, they gonna fuck up the recipe. We already know. Shout out to Poppy. We're not drinking it no more in about a year.
But I just think it's dope. Like when great ideas find the right partner, great things can happen. So, I'm not sure do you remember which shark invested into this? But all of them have pretty impressive backgrounds, but they typically bring more to the table than just the funds, because you can get the funds different places, but, do they have the relationship with distributors? Do they have experience in the soft drink market? Again, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier in this episode, you have to build a team, and you have to work with people. Hopefully you work with people and things don't get blown up because, somebody lied about a Michael Jackson feature or something. But finding the right partner can lead to great things. So, until then, you do have to just kind of figure things out on your own. But that's a dope story. I didn't know. I think I've only tried Poppy one time. We might have it here actually in the office, but I don't drink it.
It's super popular, but I don't either. I'm not a huge fan of it because I don't like stevia. It was Rohan Oza. He was one of the guest sharks. Okay.
Yeah, well, he just came up big time.
Yeah, I'm sure the other sharks are sick for passing on them.
Yeah, Shark Tank is a great show to watch. Just as an entrepreneur, just hearing some of the questions that get asked, because you can basically apply the same thing to your music journey. How they think about valuation, the questions that they ask around the strategy, because a lot of people go on Shark Tank and aren't ready. I mean, from a show perspective, they're just looking for, the interesting storylines and things like that. But a lot of people some people are right in their valuation and they don't get the offer that they're expecting. And they just, if they don't get the offer that you want, then, you go about your business and it's just a good show. However, some people turn down offers that they should have taken. So it's really important to really understand the value that you bring to the table and understand what you want, when you are looking for a partner. But watch Shark Tank. Go back and watch. That's a show that you can go back and just watch. That content is evergreen. So you can go back and watch episodes from years ago, and it'll be just as insightful, maybe even more insightful, knowing how it actually played out if you're watching old episodes.
Sorry for that show being so popular and so many people claiming to watch it, especially in the music business. There are still a lot of people with zero value propositions walking around wondering why people don't mess with them. And I don't know. It's funny. Some of the situations I find myself in are so uncomfortable, but they're so funny. Someone that will just lie to my face to try to get something out of me, or someone that will big themselves up and it's zero substance. And I'm like, I'm in my 40s, man. I'm not, does this work on your kids? You're not going to sell me a tooth fairy story about your rap career. But that's, watch Shark Tank if you want. The music business is business. It's all capitalism. What value proposition do you bring? What, when someone asks you what your streams are and you're like, oh, don't even worry about it. Or I don't, and you clam up and you come up with an excuse. They're asking these business owners who present their businesses to the sharks very similar questions. What kind of revenue are you generating right now for me to partner with you? So if someone approaches someone and says, I need a feature for free. Okay. This is what I have 100,000 monthly listeners. What do you have? Don't even worry about it. It's like, come on, man. And I do it all the time when someone says, let me get a beat for free. I'll give you 50%. And I always ask them, well, how much are you making now? They never have an answer because the answer is zero and they just don't want to say it. So how would that fly on Shark Tank? I want 50,000. I want 500,000 to invest in my company. Do you have product out? Very limited. Is it selling? Well, we haven't tried yet. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, even just listening to how people present their business, because I think most of the folks that come on there are, this is their big shot, so they've been, studying, researching to really understand the business. And I would just ask artists, like, do you understand your business in the same way that these people are articulating their business, their industry, their competitive landscape and things like that? Do you understand the music industry in the same way? And the answer is probably no for 98% of folks. So.
And the thing with Shark Tank is like a lot of these people are calculating their value prop and asserting their value proposition against what the current market is doing. Like they're already operational, making money, have employees. Some of these people are doing like hundreds of thousands, even millions in revenue already, and they're looking for a partner. I think when I first started watching it, I thought it was just vibes and ideas. Like, cause Shark Tank has been around for like 17, 18 years, something like that. The older I got, I'm like, oh no, these are like established businesses. I actually learned how to create a valuation, like write the numbers off of watching Shark Tank. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's the difference with the music industry. A lot of artists will come off of vibes, or I did this one tour, or I got, 50,000 monthly listeners, or I'm trying to, and it's like, cool. I think that's a great start, but it's like, what is your offer to the world? Again, back to what I was saying. Artists are if you're just selling music, what is that to the world right now? Like, how valuable is that proposition? Like, could we survive without what you have? So that's how I started building companies and ideas. Once I stepped back from the music industry, I'm like, what is the differentiator in what I have to offer, right? So like with my media company, there's hella people who could shoot better than me, whatever, but I'm telling stories that people aren't getting right now. Like, I don't know where I can go aside from 1 week's notice and watch a writing camp happen, right? And this is a 3-day writing camp. I'm taking a different approach to it, but it's like, I all the time get questions from people about like, well, what does a writing camp look like? Well, what do you do? Like, I wish I could go to one. I'm trying to go to one, right? So, and like, I have a handful of people that lined up that I'm about to interview and follow around for a day that people are going to lose their shit when they see it, because it's just stuff you don't see. That's my unique value proposition. When I'm looking at where y'all at, though, I'm offering something that the city of Austin does not have and nobody's ever done in Austin. So I feel like I've had decent business ideas before. They've done decently, but they were just competing with what else was in the market, and we were doing okay with what we knew. The sales point was me or one of my business partners, right? So I think that artists have to look at like, what is the unique thing that you're providing to the world? What makes you a differentiator? Would you invest in you if you weren't you? And I don't think enough people are asking that question, and I think that that's where we need to go from here. It's like, would you invest in you if you weren't you? It can't just be you're hyped on the music that you're making or what you have to offer or an idea that you have that you've never brought to the world. If you never brought an idea to the world, to me, you're a very risky bet. I would never bet on somebody who hasn't iterated multiple times in the world and failed.
Boom. All right, Payne, we can wrap it up. We got to get up out of here.
Yeah, well, in order to create value, you need products out there and you need people consuming. So get your music on distributors. If you don't have your beats on distributors, your songs on the platforms, what are you waiting for? Go to twolost.com, use the code MEC for 3 free months of premium music distribution. Get everything on Spotify, on Deezer, on Tidal, on Apple Music, everything for free. 3 months. You can get a lot of music up in just 3 months. Twolost.com, use the code MEC when you sign up. And we appreciate you tuning in. We'll cover hopefully that one article that we've been trying to cover forever on the next episode. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Payne, I'm gonna shoot you the link to